Playing sports. It is such a common theme to play a sport in our society that approximately 55% of high schoolers in the United States play a sport. But what if there were long-term effects that could impact your mental health in a negative way? Would that change your mind about playing a sport? All these worries start from one injury to the head, a concussion. You mainly hear about concussions in football because all of the head bashing. However, any sport can give you a concussion that could change your life. The issue extends far beyond the NFL to children who have played football, soccer, hockey, and other sports, especially because of new research about head injuries in young athletes. Neuroscientists are finding that concussions can affect brain function in subtle ways, and that kids may have special vulnerability. It's possible that better helmets and other equipment could play a small role in reducing risk, but they're unlikely to solve the problem. It's time to change the rules of the game. For starters, let me give you some background about concussions and how bad they really are. People think that concussions are something that goes away after a little rest, but this is not the case. One side effect of a concussion is behavioral changes, like temper tantrums and irritability, according to Christy Arbogast, who works at the Center for Injury Research Prevention at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. In some children, concussions can cause subtle disruptions to ocular motor coordination that are not routinely evaluated in the past. These can lead to headaches, dizziness, and nausea when kids return to school and try and focus on the teacher. We're finally getting some clarity on what concussion looks like at different ages in some children, she says. That, she adds, will also allow physicians to diagnose and treat more cases. The sport of football is where most research needs to be concentrated on. A study was done where retired NFL players were categorized by whether they began or before or after the age of 12. The researchers found that those who started earlier fared worse on tests of cognitive flexibility and executive function. And an advanced version of magnetic imaging also showed that these players had more disruptions to a bundle of nerve fibers or axons. Between the ages of 8 and 12, the brain undergoes a period of intense axonal growth in which an insulating layer accumulates around the nerve cells. In result, the players who started earlier may have sustained axonal injuries that prevented their brains from developing fully during the critical window, leading to long-term impairment. In addition, another study was done 2 years ago at the University of Purdue, where researchers compared the neurological function of high school football players before and after a single season. Strikingly, even athletes who had not suffered a diagnosable concussion performed worse on the test of visual memory after months of football. One of the researchers states, "We do everything to make sure our kids have the best possibility of a successful life. And yet, we drop them off at a field and say, go hit your head over and over again. It needs to change." That's why sports leagues must reduce the frequency and intensity of head impacts. In soccer, young children simply should not be heading the ball. Years ago, a group of parents filed a class action suit against FIFA, U.S. Soccer, and American Youth Soccer Organization to force restrictions on this practice. In November, the suit was settled with the U.S. Soccer Federation, which announced a ban on heading the ball for children 10 and younger and limitations on heading during practice for kids between ages 11 and 13. This is just a small step. In other sports too, more could be done. The leaders of USA Hockey have already forbid body checking in which a player is slammed into the wall around the ice for children under 13. But that will have limited effect unless the rules are strictly enforced. Change needs to happen in order for children as well as adults to be safe while playing the sport they love. Rules can be fixed, but a brain with a neurological disorder cannot. Thank you.